What is going on, comic book fans? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Wednesday pull list, which is your hype video for this week's new comic book day. And this week's new comic book day is Wednesday, January 22nd of 2025. And this video is my chance to get you guys pumped and excited about all the books that I find really intriguing, either for the story or for the amazing covers that are coming out this week. And guys, this week was one of the most packed weeks for amazing stories. We do have a lot of cover lover picks this week to go over, but the stories were just so incredible. I had a really hard time. There were 5 or 6 books that could have made the top 3 list on any other week, but I whittled it down to the top 3, so we will cover those. But guys, I'm really telling you, there are some really great stories, so make sure you guys sticking around for the whole entire video, because I'm going to go over every book that is on my pull list. Because we're going to kick this video off going over all the sweet cover art that's coming out this week. But just as a quick reminder, there is a link to League of Comic Geeks down in the description below. Make sure you guys are going over there and taking a look at all the amazing covers, because these are going to be my favorite covers, but there might be artwork that you absolutely love and you think is the best that is not on this list. So make sure, check out that link. But guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and check out this week's cover lover picks. There are a total of 24 cover lover picks to go over, so let's dive right into the first one. And the first one up is Detective Comics issue number 1093 with the cover B variant done by Dan Panosian. It's just really good. You got Batman, you got Robin, you got this new scary character that's killing all these kids. Really freaking good. Next up, Detective Comics issue number 1093 with the cover C in the cover D 1 in 25 black and white variant done by Juan Ferreira. It's just good. It's just really good, and I really like the black and white variant a little bit more than the color, but either way, the cover is just an epic Batman cover, with Batman kind of like jumping off a roof, you got bats flying, you got a moon behind him. It just has a lot of great Batman elements. Next up, Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 4 with the cover C in the cover E, which is a 1 in 50 virgin ratio variant done by Matea DeLuis. Just fantastic. This Absolute Wonder Woman book has had some incredible covers, but this one right here is really stinking good. Next up is another cover for Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 4. This is the cover F variant done by Pablos Villalobos. Just really good. I don't love when they like take one of these badass hard characters and kind of cute them up a little bit, but this one is like a happy medium to me. She looks cute and sexy, but also still like an epic badass. Next up is a really cool cover. I don't know why I like this cover so much, but it's so good. This is the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 66 with the 1 in 25 ratio variant done by Chris Samney. It is just awesome. Awesome, 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 and this should be pretty easy to get your hands on, because Amazing Spider-Man is like one of those books that every shop usually orders a bunch of, so you should be able to get this cover for pretty cheap. I want to say like 10 bucks or maybe under, especially on mycomicshop.com the day of New Comic Book Day, and this is just a gorgeous cover. I like the action pose, like Spider-Man's like flying through the air, or I should say his feet are first, but he's just at the end of his swing. I don't know, it's so cool, and the city looks fantastic. Next up is the Scotty Young 8 Deaths of Spider-Man variant and the 1 in 100 black and white ratio variant for the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 66. They're just fantastic. I love all of these, and I'm picking up all the colored versions. I don't have the moolah for the 1 in 100s, but these colored versions are fantastic. All right, guys, next up is an exclusive for the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 66, so there is a trade dress in a version. This is coming from Unknown Comics, Comic Traders, and The Sleeping Giant, and it's done by Gabriele Dell'Otto. And it's Dell'Otto, it's Spider-Man, and it's really good. Next up, guys, Wonder Woman issue number 17 with the cover C variant done by Mike Del Mundo. I really like this guy's artwork, and whenever he does a cover, it usually makes the list. Now, he is doing a cover for the Flash issue number whatever that's coming out this week, but I didn't love that one. But this one, for Wonder Woman, she's doing that like string game that you used to do when you were a kid, but with the lasso of truth, awesome. So good. Next up, Void Rivals issue number 16 with the cover B variant done by Omer. So good. Omair's been doing a lot of great covers late, and this one right here for Void Rivals is really, really good. Let's continue. Next on, Void Rivals issue number 16 with the cover D, which is a 1:25 ratio variant done by Patricio Del Pecci, and it's awesome. Hot Rod is one of my favorite Transformers characters. I grew up with the Transformers movie, and he was such an integral part to that cartoon movie, and it was so good. So I just love him. And seeing him on the covers for issue number 15, number 16, and maybe the next issue, I don't know, but I'm picking up all of these covers because they're so good. Next up, Harley Quinn issue number 47 with the cover D, the sweater weather variant, done by Simon DeMeo. It's just great. I'm a big Simon DeMeo fan, so I'm sure some people are not going to love this, but I love his colors, his line work, his layouts. I love that she's kind of like taking a selfie, laying on the ground with a snowman. It's just so good. Next up, Iron Man issue number 4 with a variant cover done by Derek Chu. It's just really cool. This should have been like a 1:25 ratio variant or something like that because it's really, really good. It's like, you know, Wanda Maximoff doing her Scarlet Witch thing on an Iron Man cover. Really good. Next up, Wolverine Revenge, not the red band, the regular. The variant cover done by Patrick Gleason. It's good. It's just Patrick Gleason, man. It's really good. Next up, King Spawn issue number 41 with the cover A done by Puppeteer Lee. It's Puppeteer Lee. It's Spawn, and he's got like a bunch of like really badass like hellhounds or something. So good. And they kind of look like bulldogs, and you know I got an affinity for bulldogs. Rest in peace, Frankie. Rest in peace. Next up, Power Girl issue number 17 with the cover C variant done by Mateo DeLuis. Again, another Mateo DeLuis cover on this list because he's just so good. And this one with Power Girl kind of like flying backwards with her hands like this. So good. Next up, Helverine issue number 2 with the 1:25 ratio variant done by Muhammad Asrar. So good. This guy's artwork is kick-ass, and I love this Helverine depiction. It's just so good. He's on like a stack of like flaming skulls. Awesome. Next up, Godzilla Masterpiece Theater issue number 3 with the 1:25 ratio variant or virgin ratio variant done by Jim Mahfood. Awesome. I don't know what it is about this cover that I love so much. You got Godzilla in the middle, and you just got like crazy lines of energy and smoke, and looks like almost kind of like eyeballs or something, circles behind him. Just really good. It's really stinking cool, and it's a virgin variant. And if you're into Godzilla, you might want to pick this up. Next up, Godzilla Masterpiece Theater issue number 3, but this time with the 1:10 ratio variant done by Jay Gonzo. Now this one is really cool. Is Godzilla fighting like Dracula in this? Because that definitely looks like a Dracula-esque castle and Dracula-esque in the picture, but you can't really tell it's him or not, but I think it is. And Godzilla versus Dracula, that's freaking awesome. And Jay Gonzo is just so great. Next up, Grim Fairy Tales issue number 92 with the cover D variant done by Ivan Tao. It's a little odd. This girl has gigantic boobs and this little itty bitty waist, but like really long, awesome red hair, and she's in some armor, but she's showing her belly, which is really weird. Like, they just need to start putting girls in armor but covering like all their body parts and somehow still make them sexy, because this armor makes no sense. But it's awesome. It's a really cool cover. Next up, I've shown this cover multiple times. I think it's got delayed, but it's finally coming out because I've definitely showed it multiple times on Final Order cutoff videos. But this is Barbarella issue number 3 with the cover A, the cover H 1:15 black and white variant, and the cover K, which is the 1:25 virgin ratio variant done by Joseph Linzer. It's aliens, it's Barbarella, it's in space. It's got all the good stuff, guys. This is really good. And Joseph Linzer has a very specific style, but I really like it on this cover right here. Now, guys, next up are 1, 2, 3 covers for the same book. Pan-Up Apocalypse issue number 1. I've shown this when this was on FOC, and these covers are so good. And don't like sleep on this book if you're into covers, because the cover A, B, C, D, all like the open order covers are really good. I just like the ratio books a little bit more. So let's kick this off with the cover E, which is a 1:10 ratio variant done by Michael Lombardi. Really cool, like kind of like a anime or cartoon-esque version of this character, even though it's all cartoons, but it has like a very specific style. But she looks like she's like, you know, like one of those cool girls from like the 50s or 40s. Really stinking cool. Next up, the cover F, which is the 1 in 25 ratio variant done by Andrew. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. It's just a girl kind of like on a beach with all like this fast food, and she looks phenomenal. So good. Now, I don't know how many like copies of this book is gonna be sold, but I can see all of these like ratio books being kind of hard to get your hands on, because how many stores are ordering 25 copies of Pinup Apocalypse? I don't think too many. But guys, this next one, I have wrote down 1 in 25. It could be wrong, and I think the last one might have been a 1 in 15. I'll correct it, so make sure you guys are looking up on screen, because I think I typed it wrong when I was doing this yesterday. But this one right here is the cover G, which is the 1 in 25 virgin ratio variant by a name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, and this one is my favorite. It is so good. And it says Foxy on it, and she's got a tail, and it's just really foxy and awesome. Love this cover. But we're going to wrap this up with Mark Spears' Monsters issue number 2 with the second print exclusive variant coming from Bird City Comics, again done by Mark Spears. We got a very voluptuous witch on the cover, and she looks very nice. It's almost like the Bride cover, but without the staples, which is better, I guess. But her skin is green, but you know, we can all look past that, because va voom, so good. All right, guys, yeah, those are all my cover letter picks for this week. If there's a cover that I missed and you think I have to see it, guys, link it down in the description below, because I would love to hear what covers you guys are really excited about. All right, guys, let's move over to the next section, which is my pull list. We're going to take a look at every single book that's on my pull list really quick before we dive into the not top 3, and then the top 3 books I think you guys have to pick up. But guys, let's go ahead and check out my pull list. All right, guys, as you guys can see, it's back to another juicy pull list with 21 books on my list this week. But those covers right there, you guys can't see them. They're small, they're blurry, so I'm going to go ahead and throw them up on screen right now. Guys, like I said, 21 books on my pull list, 0 new number 1s. We haven't had that happen in a while, which was great for me. Actually, not so great, because that means I had more books to read. When there's new number 1s, I don't have a previous issue to read. But guys, if we break down this list a little bit more, there are 7 DC books, 5 Marvel, and 9 indie titles. Now, I read the previous issue to every single book you see on screen right now, except for one. That is World Tree issue number something or other. I think issue number 12 comes out this week, and I did not find my previous issues, which would have been 11 and 10, because I think I'm an issue or 2 behind. So that book cannot make the top 3 list. But there are no books on the chopping block, so that means we can dive right into the number 3 book that I think you guys have to be picking up this week, because the previous issue was so stinking good. All right, guys, the number 3 book that I think you guys have to be picking up, because the previous issues were so good, is Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 13. This is coming from the writer of Jonathan Hickman, and this issue right here, issue number 13, is going to have art by Marco Checchetto. There have been some other artists that have pitched in between issues number, like, I think 4 and issue number 13, but this story by Jonathan Hickman, this ultimate universe that he is building, so good, especially the Spider-Man book, because this is the book that he's writing. Issue number 12 was a Christmas issue. Now, it was awesome because it came out during December, and it was like, you know, you're already in the holiday spirit, and then you're seeing Spider-Man and his family come together for the holidays and have turmoil, and it was a world-building moment for Spider-Man and his family. We learned so much about his extended family. They started building it out more, but what they did is give you a reason to care about these characters. And I say that a lot. When a book can do that, they give you reasons to care about these other characters in the big main character's world. It makes the book so much more interesting, because now you know of this character. Now you know their pain, their suffering, why they're doing well, why you should be excited for them. And then when something happens to that character, there's that weight behind it, and it makes the story so much more impactful. And that's what issue number 12 did. Yes, there wasn't no fighting, no big excitement throughout the whole entire issue until like the last 4 pages. It was incredible. And Marco Cecchetto's artwork is so good. We got introduced to Mary J. Watson's sister, which, has that ever happened in a Spider-Man comic? I don't know. I'm not an aficionado when it comes to Spider-Man and his lore, but that was super cool. And then we also got Mary J. Watson's mom, which was like this like foxy older lady, and that was incredible. And she was like kind of like, she's had 3 marriages and all of them divorced or a widow, and I think the last one died, and she was interested in Uncle Ben, and it was really cool. This story is just, it's sucking you in. It's giving you reasons to care, and when you can care about a book, it's the best. It's so good. And the art, like I said, by Marco Cicchetto is so incredibly good. I love this book. It's good. It's really good. And then the next issue, you find out, at the very end of issue number 12, spoiler, we find out that both Harry and Peter have been captured by somebody. Ooh, we know the Sinister Six is after him, so it has to be one of them, right? I don't know. We're going to find out in this issue right here. It's going to be freaking epic. All right, guys. That is the number 3 book. What is going to follow up that? Well, stick around and find out. All right, guys, the number 2 book is a DC book, and it's a freaking Wonder Woman book. That's right. Wonder Woman in the number 2 spot, but this is Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 4. Coming from the writer of Kelly Thompson, it has art by Hayden Sherman. I read issue number 3 yesterday because, like I said, I always read the previous issues right before the next issue comes out. And I gotta tell you guys, holy moly, issue number 3 was jam-packed with so much goodness. I love what Kelly Thompson has done with this character of Wonder Woman. I've tried to read Wonder Woman multiple times in the past and not enjoyed it because she's kind of just like too good, too strong, too everything. She's too perfect. This Wonder Woman is not. She's flawed, but she cares so much. She has that same kind of loving and caring, and like she loves to protect people, and she will do anything to protect the people that she loves. And this is just including the human race in general, because she knows she is their protector. And something happened in issue number 3 that you see that, so she is down in hell. In this world, Absolute World, Wonder Woman was raised in hell by Circe the Witch. So she knows magic, which is so freaking cool. But she grew up in hell around monsters and terrible things. And Steve, what's his name? Steve something. The love of her life still crash lands, but somehow ends up in hell. And she does something epic to free him from hell. And you don't really know it. Like, I wasn't ready for what was going to happen, and it was so beautiful. Well done and awesome. And I cannot wait to see what else is going to change. And at the end, so there's this big monster coming for Star City, I want to say it is. And it's going to start emitting this sound that's going to make every human just kind of like walk towards it and like walk into its mouth, and they'll all be eaten and their souls will be crushed and tortured, and they'll be terrible. But they have to hear the sound, and she does something really cool to help everyone in like the surrounding area. I don't know, this book does such a great job. Also, one other thing about this book before we move on to the number 1 book. Kelly Thompson, not he, she does a great job of doing these flashbacks to the past and then integrating what you learned from the past to the future. She does such a fantastic job of that. This book is just so incredibly done. If you're not reading any of the Absolute books, definitely check this book out. Absolute Batman has been incredible, and Absolute Superman has just been all these books. I think you have to be reading this Absolute Universe. It's better than the Ultimate Universe. Because I've already dropped every single Ultimate book besides the Ultimates in Ultimate Spider-Man. But I'm all in right now on all 3 Absolute books. And in 2 months, we're getting like 3 or 4 more Absolute books. So fingers crossed, they're all going to be good. All right, guys. That is the number 2 book. Let's go ahead and find out what my number 1 is. All right, guys. The number 1 book that I think you guys have to be reading this week, because the previous issues were just so good, is Wonder Woman issue number 17. That's right, back-to-back Wonder Woman books. If you asked me a little over a year ago if Wonder Woman 2 Wonder Woman books would ever be on the top 3 list, I would say, you're freaking nuts. That's never going to happen. Wonder Woman is just not an interesting character. It can't be done. But Kelly Thompson and Tom King sure have made Wonder Woman one hell of an interesting character. Now, Wonder Woman issue number 17 is coming from the writer of Tom King and has art by Daniel Samprier. This has been one hell of a ride. I know we're getting close to the very end of the story. I'm not sure how many issues are left, but we've been introduced to this character of the Sovereign. The Sovereign is the big bad in this book, and he's the king of the United States. That's right, the king. Why is there a king? Well, you find out that there's this underlying society that's been manipulating the government ever since the beginning, and his family has been that family. In issue number 16, or I should say like the last 3 or 4 issues, Wonder Woman, after being captured and beaten and like having things taken from her and someone very dear to her taken away, she has been slowly clawing her way back into the fight and dismantling the Sovereign. And in issue number 16, she had Detective Chimp, which is such a great addition. And they were in Justice League Dark together, which is like a great connection. But Detective Chimp was kept on like running in to the Sovereign whenever he was, and like did like researching Steve Trevor's death, and like hinting at he knew who it was and getting the Sovereign to admit things, and it was so beautifully done. And we also had flashbacks of, I shouldn't say flashbacks, cutaways to Wonder Woman with Trinity. Trinity is her baby, and you found out in 2 issues ago how Trinity was made and created, which was so good. And she was going around being baptized, basically, and like she went around and met a really bunch of cool people, and just the way that Wonder Woman has like slowly dismantled the Sovereign, like took all of his money away, and now she's outing him to the public, and called in favors from friends from Detective Chimp and Superman came in and like did a bunch of interviewing and like really released and blew up the Sovereign spot. So good. And this is Tom King. Tom King, like I said, he is a very wordy writer. So much wording. And like, but the way he's been layering this story and slow rolling it, it's made me really care for Wonder Woman as this hero, as this savior of the human race, kind of, and in a way that I don't think I ever would have before Tom King took over this book. I love the way that he's kept Cassie and Donna Troy and Yara Flor in the mix. There, he hasn't cut them out. It's not just Wonder Woman. He's kept those characters there. And in the issue number 17, Wonder Woman sends them in to fight the Sovereign's big bad. So it's gonna be epic. I don't know where or how DC is going to follow this book up. I know we had Absolute Wonder Woman, but how do you follow this up? I think you got to keep Tom King on. Just like you got to let him like really take this character and make her a force of nature again. Like make her really cool, because right now I'm in, like sold on Wonder Woman. It's so good. So if you haven't read it, go back. Wait for trades, maybe wait for this whole story to be wrapped up into like a couple trade paperbacks and then get caught up, and then you can pick up the single issues. But if you haven't read it, guys, some of the best writing, the artwork by Daniel Samprier is just like mind-blowingly good. It's an awesome, awesome book. All right, guys, that is the number 1 book, but we have to go over the not top 3, but the books you gotta see, which are the rest of the books on my pull list, and there's so many good ones. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive in to the not top 3, but the books you gotta see. All right, guys, I break down the not top 3, but the books you gotta see into 3 categories. 1, the okay. These are books that I cannot suggest that you guys pick these up because they're just okay. I'm not really loving them, but I'm still picking them up for one reason or another. And then there's the good. These are solid comic books. Really enjoyable, just not the great. And then there's the great books. These are the books that almost made the top 3 list, but they just didn't have the little extra to get them to the top 3. So let's go over these. But we are going to kick this off with the did not read, which is World Tree issue number 12. Well, I didn't read number 12 because it comes out this week, but the previous issues to issue number 12, I did not read, so that cannot be on any of the lists. Next up, the okay. Now, we're going to kick this off with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Night Watcher issue number 5. I read issues number 3 and 4 yesterday, because I was behind an issue, and it's just, I don't know, it's okay. I'm not really loving it at all. It's a little intriguing, because I'm getting more of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles world. This is dealing a lot more with the Mutant Town and what's happened after issue number 150. But overall, I'm just not loving it. Not loving it. Next up, Iron Man issue number 4. I read issue number 3 yesterday, and it's okay. I want this book to be good. It's cheesy at moments, and this book shouldn't be cheesy. I do like the overall story that they're trying to tell. Iron Man has had like all of his like really good armor taken away, so he's had to make kind of like a steampunky, janky armor, which is really cool. He made a giant sword, and lots of cool things like that happened. But the overall story of why it happened, lame. The last issue, the dialogue was poor. I didn't love it. Next up, Blade Red Band issue number 4. Again, this story is just okay. I don't know what to say. It's Blade, and he's going on this journey of redemption. But in this last issue, he thought he was being cool, and then he ends up getting himself in trouble, and he got caught at the end. I don't know. The writing is pretty weak, and this artwork is not awesome. So it's just okay. But I'm gonna finish it. It's Blade, and it's bloody because it's Red Band, so it's kind of cool. I don't know. Next up, The Good Arcbound issue number 3. This is Scott Snyder and some other people doing the artwork. I liked issue number 2. I read 2 yesterday. It is pretty good. Yeah, I liked it. It's set off way into the future, and there is a guy who thought he was doing good, but then the people he worked for, the government, basically backstabbed him. And now he's like, fighting for the other side. And he's going to go up against those people. It's that type of story. It's pretty good. Next up, Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 2. It was a whole origin issue of the Gunslinger Spawn. Really good. Issue number 1 was. I'm excited to see where issue number 2 goes. I never read anything by Jimmy Palma. I'm going to butcher his last name. So I was interested to see how his writing was. And it was pretty freaking good, and the artwork was great in this book as well. Next up, Green Arrow issue number 20. It was good. I wish it was better. I want Green Arrow to be like on the great or in the top 3 because he's one of my favorite characters, and it was just the banter back and forth in this book. It felt forced. It felt cheesy, and I did not love it. But I'm excited to see where the story is going to go because he's on his own again. He's doing some like detective work, and he's doing Green Arrow stuff, and it was pretty cool. Next up, Justice League Unlimited issue number 3. This is coming from Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Good book. It was solid. Issue number 1, I think, was on the okay list, but issue number 2 kind of redeemed itself a little bit. We had this whole expansive Justice League universe, and this felt like more of a Mark Waid story. It was coming together, and I'm excited to see where this is going to go. There's a bunch of like, what are those characters called? The bug guys from Darkseid. They were somehow on Earth, and they thought Darkseid was still alive, and they found out that he was dead. They were like traumatized, and normally they're kind of like hive mind, but this one guy was like on his own. He could think for himself, and it was kind of cool. Next up, King Spawn issue number 41. Like I said, a lot of these Spawn books, Spawn, King Spawn, Gunslinger Spawn, and The Scorched are all just really solid comic books. And this last issue of King Spawn was good. It wasn't great. It wasn't okay. It was just a good comic book. Again, dealing with the fallout of Hellspawns and Angels losing their powers still. Really good. Next up, Magic Order, Volume 5, issue number 4. This was just a good comic book. This is normally in the great, but for some reason, the story felt a little off. I think it was kind of like a building story moment. So hopefully the next issue is going to be even better. Next up, Wolverine Red Band, issue number 4. Just a good comic book. You got Greg Capullo on artwork. And it's just, I wish it was better. It's just not. It's just kind of like a corny story. But the artwork really saves it. I love Greg Capullo. Next up, The Great Black Canary, Best of the Best, issue number 3. This book is all about Lady Shiva and Black Canary doing kind of like an MMA style fight. They can't use any powers, even though Lady Shiva does not have any, but Black Canary cannot use her sonic scream. And they're just finding out who is the best hand-to-hand fighter, which is kind of like, why do we need this book? But the underlying story is how Black Canary trained for this fight, and we meet her mother, and we're getting some backstory of how she grew up, and we're getting backstory of Black Canary's mom and dad, which I didn't know she had a mom and dad. Obviously she did, because she's a human being, but it's really interesting getting these little snippets of her past. It's making her more interesting as a character, building this character up, care for her more. It's going to make Black Canary a much stronger, cooler character. And the boxing latest year thing is just pretty cool. The way Tom King is writing it is just awesome. Very wordy. Lots of... This book is going to take you a while to digest, but that's okay. You don't want this book to go too fast, because you want to take a moment and really enjoy both sides of the story, the fight, but also the history. It's so good. Next up, Detective Comics issue number 1093. I really like this book. This is Tom Taylor and Mikhail Janin, and it's just an awesome freaking story. Batman has taken this drug that is making him feel younger. It's like healing a lot of like his internal scarring and everything like that. And it's making him a more potent Batman. But we're finding out the person who made this drug, who has history with Bruce Wayne, is maybe not on the up and up. And it's pretty stinking cool. And there's also this really cool villain that is capturing kids and sucking the life from them. Is that life going into this drug? I don't know. We're going to find out. Next up, High Street issue number 3 comes out this week. Issue number 2 was a freaking banger. I love this horror world that Jeff Johns is building. We got a whole origin story of the kid that looks like a Boy Scout. Terrifying. Amazing. And we met the scorekeeper, which was also really cool at the very end. And the scorekeeper is just anyone who walks on High Street is pretty much going to die. And there's all these villains that can like vie for his soul. And the scorekeeper is keeping a score of how many souls they've captured. Freaking awesome. So good. Next up, Superman issue number 22. Great. It was such an awesome issue. This is Joshua Williamson, and I forget the artist on the book. I'll put it up on screen so you guys can see it. It's just, this book, I love it. This is almost like Wonder Woman by Tom King. I did not care about Superman, but this has grown his universe, grown the people around him, and made it just more than a one-dimensional character. It's not just a super being that's freaking amazing and can do anything and everything. He's super smart. No, there's this whole world now that you want to know, and you want to find how things are going to happen and who's going to get hurt and who's not. How is the world going to get saved? I don't know. It's so good. Next up, the Tin Can Society issue number 5. Issue number 4, again, an absolute banger. Artwork, incredible. Story, so engaging. And this feels like what would happen if someone actually tried to be a superhero. They're not going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. And mistakes as a superhero, they're usually pretty bad. You don't want to make mistakes as a superhero. So this is a really cool book. Next up, The Uncanny X-Men issue number 9. My favorite X-Men book right now. It wasn't... This book should have maybe been on the good, but I really have been enjoying it, and I think it is a great overall story. But this whole attacking of Grey Malkin, which is the prison, which used to be the X-Mansion, but is now out of prison, it wasn't the best. But we did meet some new scary X-Men, which is pretty cool, and the Warden told us some things, which was pretty cool. So overall, it was great. Last but not least, Void Rivals issue number 16, just a great freaking book. We're 16 issues in, or 15. If you're not reading it, you are. You should. I mean, Robert Kirkman, Lorenzo De Felici, building out this Energon universe with these 2 amazing characters that are part of these 2 worlds that are somehow intertwined with Energon. So good. So good. And Hot Rod was in issue number 15, which was so freaking great. Great book. Yeah, that is the top, that is the not top 3, but the books you're going to see. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up. All right, guys, we are at the end of today's video. Now, if you watched the beginning of this video all the way to this point right now, I'm just going to thank you and let you guys know you guys are legends. Now, next thing up, guys, if you guys have not smashed that like button just yet, do me a favor, smash that like button. And last but not least, before I sign off on today's video, if you guys are not subscribed, but you guys enjoyed that video and you enjoy comic book content, I'm just gonna say, what are you doing? Get yourself subscribed, hit that bell for notifications, and smash that like button. All right, guys, have yourself a great week. Have yourself a great new comic day. Get all the books that you want to get, and I'll catch you guys on Thursday or Friday with my final order cutoff highlights video. All right, guys, have a great week, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.